Okay, here I want you to look at my final designs with the surfaces activated of my tray design. I put this design in here that's it's based on a Verneuil pattern, but it often reminds me also of a lot of like Korean lamp architecture and shapes. Check that out. Korean lamps, they're really cool and beautiful to look at. What I'm going to address in this video is actually how to construct the box from your curves that you've downloaded from the BoxMaker program and then modified in some way. And there's an infinite number of ways that you can modify and activate your box. I'll leave the creative stuff up to you. But in the end, we'll have a box that looks like this that is derived from our curves. And we may run into a couple problems, and I hope to illustrate some of those as I go through this workflow to show you how to construct these. And hopefully by you seeing me look at and address some of these problems as it relates to building an object from curves, building solids from curves, we'll learn something. But eventually we're going to get to this state using our flat curves, and that's going to be how we proceed through this video presentation. I'm going to start by turning off this object from this layer, and I want to look at my layout from the top. And I want you to note that in our box, because it's a box, there's two sides that are the same. These two sides are the same, these two sides are the same. These are both the middles of those sections, and these are the front of the box, and these are basically the same objects. And so we'll remember that as we go through this construction process. I'm going to build everything off of this shape right here, since as the backing, this is sort of the main shape that everything connects to it. I'm going to build off of that, and we're going to use a couple different techniques with which to create either the curves or the planar surfaces that we need, the planar surfaces that we need to project to make the polysurface solids that we'll use to build our design. Now, the command that we're going to use for most of our work in creating our slabs, extrusions, is planar, extrude planar curves straight. And so with that command, you select a set of curves, and I'm going to go down to my Shots 2 window and bring this up into this window. And then you execute the command surface, extrude curve straight. Okay, and curve selected, extrude include intersecting curves. This may produce undesirable results. Do you want to continue? Let's continue, yes. And I want to use a value of 5, because that's approximately a 1/4 inch. I want to make sure that solid is checked to yes. That solid is checked to yes. And then I'll hit enter. I have to wait a second while it calculates, and I do have a solid polysurface slab here, but it looks like 3 of my sections here didn't cut properly, and I want to take a look at that. Let me pause this. So let me move this over. Here I'm going to slide this over. Select this polysurface and slide it over, and yes, in fact, I did lose these slabs here, and they seem to have produced undesirable results here, and I'll show you how I would go about fixing something like that. And the way that I'm going to fix it is to make a planar surface and then extrude that. So to get rid of these polysurfaces, I'm going to do an edit, select object, and I'm going to come down here and find polysurfaces, and I'm going to get rid of those. So I get rid of all my poly surfaces. I'm going to take this surface and I'm going to do a surface from, I'm going to do a surface from planar curves. Okay. And I get this surface here. It's a planar surface. Now I'm going to go to my top window, and I'm going to lock down my magenta layer because I don't want that. And I'm going to select this object, I'm going to select this surface, and I'm going to do a split. And I'm going to select my cutting objects, and it'll be all of these blue objects right here. And then I'm going to hit enter. And now that surface is split. Okay. And so if I select that surface, I get this resulting surface. Okay, I get this resulting surface. And let's take a look at that in ghosted mode so that I can see this surface right here. Okay, and that's what I want. Okay, and so what I can do with that surface, I'm going to go back down here and I'm going to do a solid extrude surface straight, and I'm going to change that value to 5 and make sure that solid is checked to yes. And now I have my solid poly surface, which I needed. So in this workflow, and this looks like it needs to be flipped. Normals are kind of wanky. Now that's better. Okay, and that could have had something to do with why that didn't work. Also note an interesting artifact of this process is that we've got the reverse curves. So I'd keep those. I might be able to use that for something. But we do have our, the important thing is that we do have our slab. So if you find a problem with your curves producing a solid, as we did here, one of the workflows is to use the wider curve to create a flat surface, and then use the inner details and finger joints and inner details to split that surface to create a planar surface that you can then extrude. I know that it's a really roundabout way, but it gets the job done. Okay. Okay. So now let's move over here to this set right here, and I want to. Okay, maybe I'll have better luck, and I'm going to grab these right here, and I'm going to do a surface extrude curve straight, and distance is 5, solid is turned to yes. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to take a second. And indeed, I have my curves. And so I'll grab this surface and I'll move this here. Now, this surface goes onto the front. It's part of a series of 3 that go onto the front. So the first thing I need to do is turn on my Ortho Snap. I'm going to turn off my grid snap, and I'm going to rotate that up in that direction. Okay, and I'm going to bring this up a little higher above there, and let me get rid of my I'm going to get rid of something here. I'm going to get rid of my ground plane in my render tools, and I'm going to turn that off because I don't want a ground plane. Okay, and now what I need to do, I need to move this, and I'm going to use my end snaps, okay, and my mid snap. Okay, my end snap and my mid snap and my intersecting snap. Those 3 snaps are going to make this work really easy. Okay, end, mid, an intersection. So I'm going to do a move command. Let me go back to my standard window, and I'm going to do a move. And I want to move from this point right here, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to add that right there, right along there. Okay, and I want to check the other side. Let me bring that into the fore. I'm going to check the other side. And that lines up perfectly right there. And so now that I have that in place, I'm going to take this now and I'm going to copy it from this point right here. And I'm going to bring it over to here. To that point right there. And so that's copied front and back. And so I've got the front and back in place. Okay, I've got the front and back in place. Now let's move on to the middle segment that goes in over there. And that we find over here. And notice as you get better in Rhino, you'll start doing more of your work in the perspective window. And let me tap this. And I'm going to do surface, extrude curve straight, solids check to yes, and value set to 5. Okay, very good. And I'm going to rotate this up, make sure that Ortho Snap is turned on so it rotates at 90 degrees. And I want to use these points, these 4 points over here as my keys. So I'm going to do a move, and I'm going to do a move from this point right here on that edge right there. And I know it matches up and keys into that edge right there along the center. And let me tighten that up and go check that, make sure I nailed that right. And indeed we have. Wait a second, let me make sure that that's right. Nope, it is off. And so what I need to do is that I need to do a move. There's one short. Need to move that from there to there. Now that's in there properly. Okay. And so I've laid those horizontals in. Okay. And I've got those 3 in. Now we have to lay in the parts that go this way. And for that, we're going to start over here. I want to go to my top window for a second because I want to do a little work here. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do a, once again, I'll take it from here, extrude straight, solid yes, 5 is locked in, hit enter, wait a moment, very good, select the poly surface. I'm going to rotate that this way, and then also we're going to rotate this along this axis that way. And we look at this, and we're going to move this from here. We're going to grab that point right there. We're going to align that point right there. And that should be correct. Feels off ever so slightly. Yes, it's slightly off, so let's do a move. We move from right there, and we can move it right there to that point. And that's what's really nice about this. We can get it really tight and clean. And now that we've done that, Let's try this and go from here down to there. And now we can do a copy. Here we're going to copy this from this point right over here. And we're going to go over to the opposite side. And copy that there. And so now that we have those two sides on, okay? And we follow that procedure for the rest of the design. And let me pause it. Okay, and we're going to proceed. I'm going to go on with this just so that you can get a feel for it. And I'm going to select this one. Right here. I'm going to do a extrude straight, say yes there, and solid yes, hit enter. It takes a moment there. We're going to take that, we're going to rotate that this way, and actually we're going to rotate this one, yes, it's got to be up like that, and we're going to rotate that way so it's 90 degrees. And we're going to use this, we're going to do a move. Again, we're going to use this as our key. And we're going to take that, we're going to bring it all the way over here. And this is the nice thing about snaps, is that the snaps, if you use them right, they do a lot of the work for you. Okay, and that snap needs to go, I believe that needs to go in right about there. And I'm going to leave that there for right now. I know that I have to adjust that. But let me bring this into the center. And you can do that. So that's what's nice about it. You can make those adjustments. So I noticed that my key is like right over here. And so I want to do a move. And I want to move it actually from this point right here. And that's going to go right in there. Like so. And now those line up as they should through the center, and that's that. Now we just have to do the two front pieces, okay? And you'll note that these are both the same, that they're both the same. That they're both the same. Here, and actually, let me look at this. That goes like that. And actually, I got to change this piece in the top here, because that actually uses this piece right here. You notice that this has a straight edge along the top. And let me. Okay, let's select those, and then let's go to our other viewport, and we want to get our extrude straight, solid set to yes, and now we can take this surface, rotate that up. And we're going to copy this, move this from this point right here. And let's zoom that in so we can take a closer look to make sure that we nailed it. And it's a little bit off, so oops, go back in here. Right click. Oops. Move, and we'll go from here to there. And that'll clean it up. Very good like that. And there we have it like that. And that has that nice straight edge on the front. So that's been fixed. Now the last pieces that we have to do is the pieces that attach here. Okay, and we're going to attach it here straight, then rotate it back in place. Okay, and so the first thing that we want to do is that we want to generate the slab. It's right here. Select this like so, and I'm going to do an extrude straight, solid, yes, the value set to 5. I think I've repeated that enough. Okay, and so now I have this, and I'm going to rotate this up. I'm going to rotate this up like so. Okay, and what I want to do is that I'm going to do a move, and I'm going to move this from here I'm going to place it there just for right now. Let's get in tighter and take a closer look. And I'm going to move this point right here. To that point right there. Now I need to move this over. From that point right there, I'm going to move that over there like so. And so I have that locked there. Okay. Now, what I want to do is actually I'm going to move this point right here from here to right there. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do a rotate. And I'm going to go from this point right here. I'm going to pick the other end point right there. I'm going to go to my right window. And I'm going to rotate this point right here, this point right there, down to that point right there. And let's take a look at that. And that fell right in, just like so. Okay, that fell in just like so. Okay. And now, with that in mind, okay, with that in mind, I can take this, oops, let's move this. And let's move this back. And let's rotate this. From that point right there. It's always good to do this work in this window. Right here. To there. To there. And from there, in your right window, you take this point right here and do a copy. And this point right there. to that point right there. And that completes the composition. Now this box is a lot more complicated than maybe some that you may try, but I hope that in seeing me do this construction, you got a feel for the things that you would need to go through in order to construct your box. Okay, and hope you have fun. And now the rendering begins, which is always, I know, the most fun part. But hopefully this should help you get through the project.